Today is February 1st, 2019. Man, I can't believe January just flew by. So definitely, hopefully everybody has been, partaking in their goals, going through the journey, going through the process. Whatever failures you may have felt that you may have had in the month of January, the month is over. So, hopefully you can exhale, but also understand that, failure is just the preparation for success. It's paid tuition, as I like to call it. So definitely want to welcome everybody. For those who don't know me, my name is Will Roundtree, president and owner of We Management Services, president and co-founder of Easy Funding, the credit mastery instructor at the J. Morrison Academy, the author of this fine book, Credit is King. Hopefully you picked up your copy. Shout out, we had a lot of people that actually bought this copy or bought copies last month. Even had quite a few copies purchased in Canada, over in the UK. So definitely appreciate you guys supporting this book. Let me see what else. Tulsa Real Estate Fund partner. Hopefully you guys have been taking a look and seeing all the wonderful things going on with the new Legacy Center out there in East Point, Atlanta. I mean, I know I'm extremely excited to be a part of that history, and I know a lot of you guys are too. So definitely we appreciate everyone. Let me see, TEDx speaker, credit mastery instructor I mentioned, but all of those things are cool. But more importantly, I'm here with you guys today for FICO Friday. Definitely want to salute my sponsor, I Drink. You definitely make sure that you reach out to them. They are on Instagram. I'll make sure to send out the details for them. It's actually just vitamin water. I'm a huge avid water drinker. I actually told myself I was not going to have any adult beverages for the first part of the year, and I've actually held to that. I haven't had any adult beverages since New Year's Eve. So, but more importantly, today we have a really dope show for you today. Have a very special guest. Been literally chasing this king down, trying to get him on. We'll bring him on probably in about the next 5 minutes or so. Also, too, I want to, give a shout out to my wife. She's been doing some incredible things, especially here locally. Everything with the nonprofit, which I am a director and I sit on the board. She's actually has a board meeting going on today. But, for those who have not picked up her book, Note to Self, now I know a lot of people may see the cover and think it's just for women, but it's really not. I mean, it's really just a dope book written from the perspective of a woman, of a queen, but more importantly, for anyone who is going through things, it's really just a book of affirmations. And it's something that, that's helped me a lot throughout my entire journey. I can remember when I was going through different things as in my beginning stages of an entrepreneur, and everything that I would tell myself in the morning, I would put the Post-it sticky notes in my bathroom mirror. Because generally that is the very first thing you're going to see when you wake up. Hopefully you go into your bathroom and you're washing your face and, doing all your hygiene stuff. So I could not help but to see those affirmations in the days when it seemed like no one would pay attention to what I was doing. Days that it felt like, I'm just spinning my wheels, or I've put in, countless hours and not making a dime from my efforts. Those affirmations are what helped me get through those times. And that's what this book does. You can actually go to ggroundtree.com and pick up your copy. And anybody who purchases a copy today, I will give you a free 15-minute consultation. You must purchase the book today. You can get it from Amazon, but if you want a copy directly from her, you can go to ggroundtree.com. And like I say, anyone who gets a copy today, I will give you a free 15-minute consultation. And whatnot. So for today's show, we're actually going to be having on, like I mentioned, a very special guest, my brother, Art Morrison, for those who do not know. And you know what? I'll let him share his story. I don't want to steal his thunder. But our topic today is going to be about athletes and credit. And I really wanted to talk about that because I think a lot of times we have such a misconception thinking that everyone that plays professional sports or everyone in the music and movie industry just has this, carefree spending lifestyle. And that's so not the case. You actually are, and I work with quite a few athletes, work with quite a few people in the music and movie entertainment industry. Some of my really good friends are also in the industry. I have a couple, family member that plays sports professionally. And one of the things that I always talk to them about is that, life after, whatever they're, doing currently. What do you do after you retire from the NBA? What do you do after you retire from the NFL? What do you do when your movie career is over? So you got to start putting things in place, which is the reason I love entrepreneurship. But going back to, entrepreneurship, kind of segue and not necessarily about the athletes and credit component. I was listening to something the other day, and it really made me think about a lot of the things that we go through as entrepreneurs and understand, because I get a lot of people that are saying, you know what, I just can't seem to get a breakthrough. And the one thing I want to tell you is that, and I heard this from Elon Musk, you got to put in at least a minimum of 10,000 hours before you see any type of inkling of success. So imagine 10,000 hours. So when people come to me and say, hey, I've been working hard for 2 weeks, that's good, but you still have a long way to go. You have to put the time in. Just like you don't go to college and graduate in a week. Your particular profession, it may take you 6 years, depending on if you're going to, grad school or whatever the case is. So you have to understand, you just got to put the time in. And like we talked about last week, as long as you stay in the game, it's impossible to fail. And that's the thing I love about entrepreneurship. And then also understand, did you know that most multimillionaires have failed or tried a minimum of 5 to 7 business ventures? And so it got me to thinking, and I think about the many different business ventures that I failed at, the money I've invested. But the one thing that no one could ever tell was my spirit was never broken during those times. I always talk about, I had my funnest time, if that's even a proper grammar. I had my best times when I first moved to Las Vegas, when I didn't have anything, and I was pretty much sleeping out of my car, because it forced me to go out there and be great at the things that I wanted to accomplish in order for me to live the lifestyle that I wanted to live. So understand that you have to go through those things, and we have to also realize that without adversity, there can't be any type of success. You have to go through adversity, and I think about, for my athletes, my athlete friends and family members and individuals that I know, think about the adversity that they go through from the age 5 up until, they are in high school, the sacrifices they make. The parties they probably miss, just the countless amount of sacrifice and the hours and free throw shots and bench presses and gym regimens and the dieting. All of those things are sacrifices that they had to make. That was their form of adversity, because you pretty much don't have a childhood when you're a child athlete or a student athlete. So understanding these things that, adversity is parallel no matter what industry you're in, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's in sports, whether you're trying to go into the movie and entertainment industry, you're going to have to make sacrifices. So whenever I sit down with an individual, I ask them, what sacrifices are you willing to make in order for you to achieve your dreams? What sacrifices are you willing to make in order for you to hit your goal, to reach the pinnacle of what you deem as success? Now, keep in mind, when I use the term success, I use it very loosely, because I never want anyone to think I'm equating money with success. Success could be a multitude of things. Happiness. Success could be, I just want to be able to get my kids in private school. Success can be, I just want to be able to provide a lifestyle for my family. Success can be, I just want to be able to buy my family a home that we call ours, that we live in. Those are different levels of success. And I can remember that, one of my very first goals was, I just want to move I wanted to originally get out of Milwaukee. One, because of my environment that I put myself in, I knew I had to make a change. So I was willing to make a sacrifice by one, just literally upping and leaving. I had $500 to my name, and I told myself I was going to come out here and make it happen regardless. And throughout my adversities that I was going through, from being fired from multiple jobs, obviously I wasn't a good employee, to, not hardly having any money, dodging a repo man and all of these things. Whenever I would talk to my friends and family, they never knew what I was going through because I was looking at the bigger picture. I just told myself, you know what, these are the things I know I have to go through. Just a few more hours. I got 9,000 more hours to go. I got 5,000 more hours to put in. I got 2,000 more hours to put in. I got 50 more hours to put in because I know at the end of that 10,000 hours, I'm going to have some type of a breakthrough. And that's the mindset that you got to have. Start counting it down. As an entrepreneur, in the beginning stages, yes, you will put in more hours than the money you're going to make. But as long as you stay committed to the journey and stay committed to the process, I promise you the money will start to outweigh to where you will now be able to be compensated pretty much when, because based off of all of the time that you put in previously. So, hopefully that, those gems was something that, was beneficial for you. Again, I definitely want to try to take as much time as I can with our guest here today. Is Art on right now? All right. King Art. He hopping in?
Sweet, man.
Okay. While we waiting on King Art, salute to the J. Morrison Academy fan page, Mr. Will Roundtree. Hopefully you guys go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Mr. Will Roundtree on YouTube. Again, all of the FICO Fridays are uploaded on there. And make sure you go and share this information and tell a friend and tell 10 friends. And hopefully those 10 friends tell 20 friends, all right? So hopefully Mr. J. Morrison fan page or J. Morrison Academy page can hear on my page. We got our special guest, King Art Morrison. What's going on, King?
What's going on, King?
My brother. Hey, see if we can turn it up a little bit more, Dan, if we can. All right, King Art. So I appreciate you taking time out your extremely busy schedule to rock out with us. I know you've been crisscrossing the country, doing some phenomenal things, not only just, for the community, for the company, but, you've been having a lot of transitions going on in your life. So without stealing too much of your thunder, if you can introduce us to who you are.
Yeah, so what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. I'm excited to tell my story today. My name is Art Morrison. I'm a former professional basketball player. I spent some time over in Europe playing professional basketball. I am Jay Morrison's younger brother. We obviously grew up together, and I actually spent some time with Jay as my legal guardian throughout high school. So I guess I'll start from there in terms of my story, man. I everything that you were saying earlier, I couldn't. I was like on the other end of the phone cheesing because everything you were saying was so on point about perseverance and just all the sacrifices that you have to make. So like when I was in high school, for example, I put a lot of time in to get to even be able to have a spot on a varsity team. I was not a good player growing up. You guys ever see some old pictures of me? I had like braces, glasses, real goofy. I remember when my older brother Jay was in prison and he came home and he saw me like that. He was like upset. He's like, man, my little brother looks trash, So I put in a lot of time to be able to make a name for myself within the area as a basketball player. In my senior year, when basically all the chips were on the table, was the most significant year of my career. I broke my hand. So luckily I was able to keep my head straight, and Jay paid for me to go to prep school another year and get an extra year. So I go to this prep school. I won't name the prep school. But long story short, it ended up being like kind of a fake school, shut down halfway. Me and all the other 30, 35 nationally ranked basketball players all were like red flagged by the NCAA. And I had to take whatever scholarships I had on the table. So I couldn't go Division I, which was my dream. That I put all that work in. I ended up going to play Division II. I get to play Division II basketball, and that first year, because of what happened with my prep school, the NCAA actually took a year of eligibility away from me, and they told me I'd only be able to play 3 years. So, that was devastating. But again, I fought through that whole first year of not playing one game, just practicing with the team, not playing. And I finally get to play. I played 2 years. I had a pretty decent career. I always feel I could have done better, but I did pretty well. My senior year, I'm having a year. My whole career is just I don't know, just one of the most memorable years of my life. And a couple games in, I think it was like 6 games in, I tore my knee, tore an ACL in December, fully blown out knee. And, naturally my basketball career was over from there. So we thought. And I remember sitting in bed with my knee wrapped up and applying for jobs. And one of the jobs I applied for was it was like the video editor for the Brooklyn Nets that was owned by Jay-Z at the time. And I remember applying for it, and I just scratched my head. I was like, yo, man, there's no way. I remember that was the year the Brooklyn Nets were like the worst team in the league, man. They had like 3 wins. I was like, there's no way I'm about to go from ball being my life to me working for Jay-Z's team as a video editor. So I slammed my laptop shut, and I got to work. I went hard on my physical therapy, and the rest of the story goes from there, man. I like broke records of recovery. I recovered in like 4.5 months, fully cleared from a torn ACL and meniscus. And literally 6 months from the time that I tore my knee, I had a professional. So it was covering in case my character showed me a lot about myself and what I was capable of. I emailed every team in the world, and I'm not saying in the world being like, I literally emailed every team in the world my basketball resume to get a contract, and I got 1 contract. And that was when I obviously went to play overseas. I'll never forget that day. And I played like a season and a half, 2 seasons overseas, and then the rest we'll get to when we start talking about this entrepreneurship and where I went from there, man. But that's just an introduction of myself and
wow.
where my head is and why I'm excited to chat with you today and just share my story and I don't know, man, uplift some of the 47 people that's watching this to, begin to write their own story.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, some of the things in your story was very interesting. You could have quit at any of those times when you faced that adversity. And that translates so well into business and entrepreneurship, which we're about to segue into with your journey, because I think so often a lot of us, we'll quit over something so minute because someone tells us no.
Yep.
Or somebody say, you know what, that's not going to work. Or you may have a family member who, not even a close family member, say, oh, you still trying that out? And so, but you broke your hand, you shattered your knee, you really didn't have a good year in high school to your senior year. Then you had adversity with the prep school. So that adversity was everything that you had to go through because it prepared you for where you are today. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, man. I like, this is, my coach, I'm not going to say any names, I don't like to, defame people, but my coach recruited me, who, he took care of me when I was there and everything, but I remember walking in his office, we have our senior meetings, right, to end your career. You're about to graduate, you go talk to your coach. And he's like, so what are you going to do now? Like, what's up now? You're applying to jobs, whatever. And I told him what I was going to do. And at the time, I didn't have the contract, but I told him, like, yeah, I'm going to go play professional basketball. I got some hits from this school, that school, or I'm sorry, this country, that country, this country, that country. And him and the rest of the execs, the assistant coaches, like the soccer coach was there, the girls basketball coach was there in this meeting, and they laughed, like a real laughter. Like a dead serious laugh, right? And, it's funny, that moment, I knew right then, like, I can't quit.
Right.
Like, I can't. Because now I have to prove these people wrong. I have to prove myself right. The story has to continue from here. And, like I said, man, that's all she wrote from there. Like, I haven't looked back since.
Definitely.
I no longer look to people for validation. Just staying at it, bro.
Definitely. So you go overseas, and one of the things that most people may not know about overseas players is that the lifestyle from the NBA is a little different, but you actually can do very well overseas. You don't pay taxes. They don't take taxes out of your income. I mean, a lot of times they, house and clothe you and all of that stuff. So how was it overseas for you? And then what got you into that mindset of being an entrepreneur? How did that happen?
So first of all, me emailing 1,000 people to get essentially a job overseas was strike one, right? So I got over there, and I remember my teammate, he was a real good player. I think he got MVP of the league. I was the leading scorer of the league. He was 29. I was like 23 at the time. And I was looking at him as a 29-year-old, and this was like in the first week when I got there, and I said, all right, this is where I want to be when I'm 29. Whatever, I'm going to do better. I'm going to press on. So I get there, man, and they give you a car, and make sure you're traveling, make sure you get to practice, they can get everywhere. They put you in a house, pretty nice one too. Mine was overlooking the Atlantic Ocean in Portugal on an island called Azores Islands. It was just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But what people don't understand is that the pay is okay. Over there, it's great because their economy is a little different than ours, and they take care of all of your expenses.
Right.
So the pay is awesome in terms of that. It'd be like, even here in America, if somebody say, I'm going to give you $2,000 a month, I'm going to pay you all your bills, that 2,000 is a different 2,000.
Fact.
It's a whole different 2,000. So once a month, in the beginning of the month, you would hear a little motorcycle come up to your door, and an envelope slip through the window, and that envelope would have a whole lot of euros in it. And, me personally, it was like that, Will.
Right.
So me personally, I would take the euros, I would take care of what I had to take care of in terms of bills. I would help family at home if they needed help. And then I would stash my euros. I had no reason to spend them there. The clothes over there were trash. The food wasn't like, it's not like America where we have malls and we entice you here to spend your money.
Right.
Over there, it wasn't like that. So I would just stash my money into this dirty nightstand that they had for me and, get ready to go home.
And so from that point, understanding you didn't want to see yourself at that point at the age that the other player was at, was that where entrepreneurship or business or saying, hey, let me think of my plan B now? Because I think a lot of times we wait until our back is against the wall, which is nothing wrong with that, to try to make a change. But why not start today knowing that in the next 3 to 5 to 10 years we're going to want something different out of life? Is that how that worked for you?
Well, my plan B was like my plan A the whole time. So in college, I was working with this guy who kind of took me in and mentored me when I was a sophomore. And he got me into coaching. He would pay me like $20 to coach his program. It wasn't teams, it was like camps and clinics, do some private training. And I quickly picked up that I had a niche for it. And I'm like, yo, this guy, he actually worked for the Nets as well. He was a video guy for the Nets. Small world, but this guy he wasn't a professional player. He wasn't even a coach at a school. I think he was an assistant coach at a college at one point. But long story short, he used to have like 50 to 100 kids in the gym. And they all loved me. They would come to this camp because of me. And I'm not saying he was pimping me out or nothing like that, but he was paying me $20 and I'm doing 360 dunks, putting it through the legs, and kids all cheering at camp. Not for him, but for me, right? Right. So right then, this is before I went overseas, I said, yo, if every time I come back overseas, I do these camps, I can make a good amount of money. I'm doing math myself. In my head, I'm like 100 kids, $200 a kid. Okay, I see what that is in 1 week, right? For a camp. Right. So when I went overseas, I already had a whole business model mapped out. Like, okay, every time I come back overseas, because overseas is only 6 months contract. Right. When I come home for the summer, this is what I'm gonna do. So I already had that mapped out in my head, and I knew I had to kind of save some funds to be able to execute that, or else I was gonna come home and all that money would be either spent. I would have to get a job when I came home. Like a lot of my friends now to this day who play professional basketball, they come home and still get a job. I have professional basketball player friends who work at Target. I know people in the G League right now who work at Foot Locker. Yeah, I believe this is a real thing that a lot of people that don't understand, people that don't either A, save their money, or B, they just don't have strong enough contracts, they still have to do that. So me already knowing this, I saved up and I had a business model in place before I even went over there. Right. So you already had that entrepreneur mindset. So now let's segue a little bit into credit, because I think a lot of times, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, with professional athletes, some people may think all athletes got the LeBron James and the Kobe Bryant contracts, and that's so not the case. So
credit probably isn't something that they may think about or may be at the forefront. Is that something that, is even talked about? Because I know they have a rookie symposium, but how often is credit discussed?
I have a passion for credit, business in general, entrepreneurship, because I was one of those people. My lack of knowledge and credit left me without any insurance when I came home. So, like, for example, when I came home with my little, I had like the Kobe 8s, and it was just stuffed full of euros when I came home with my suitcase. I went to Wells Fargo and I deposited it. Oh man, I forgot exactly what it was, but something hit as soon as it was like the first 2 weeks when I got home. No, that's what it was. I got stuck. My passport got lost in the mail, and I got stuck at the airport on the way home. And I had to get a hotel that night. I had to pay for taxis, whatever. Long story short, it ended up being like a 3-day weekend where I spent like 2,000-3,000 euros. It was terrible. And this is on my way home. So I had to dip into my savings crazy. And I always look back now to this day, which is why I'm excited for this FICO Fridays, because if I had known credit, if I had even one credit card, had even one line of credit as an insurance, right? As an insurance for those kind of hardships, knowing that my contract was entry level, it wasn't the strongest, right? I don't want to get a job when I get home. My backup money isn't really that much. What am I going to do? If I had known credit, understood how it worked, and had leveraged the hard cash that I had, or had leveraged my time overseas with virtually no expenses, if I would have leveraged that time to build credit, I would have had the ability to have a backup when I did come home, and when I did hit that hardship. And that's one regret that I had. And I have a passion now to like help professional athletes from entry level, like where I was, all the way up to the NBA, to understand that it could all fall down at any minute. That industry is cutthroat, man. You get hurt. I've had agents, steal money from me. I've had contracts ripped under my feet because they got wind of my previous injury, or me get injured on a contract and they terminate it. I got sent home halfway through seasons. If I had known credit, I would have been prepared and been honestly in a much better place I am in now, and I'm in a pretty damn good place.
Right. So now, it's interesting that you say that, because I talk to a lot of people and I always tell them, see, credit is so much more than just buying a house. You wasn't trying to buy a car. You wasn't trying to go to the mall, but you looked at it as credit being your insurance of being able to not have to spend your money that was tucked away. And that's the thing I always tell people, that understand life happens. And what do you do when you have to go and get your radiator done in your car, and the mechanic is going to charge you $700-800 and you don't have $700-800 in the bank account? But you got to still get back and forth to work. You got to take the kids to school. Having that credit card as an emergency, and that's the thing that I really try to convey and let people understand. Credit is really just a lifeline. Credit is a tool. Those who use it responsibly understand it is merely just a tool as a form of leverage to be able to help you do or whatever it is, or as I say, lubricate your life a little bit more. So definitely I appreciate that story. So now, fast forward there, you're back over into the States. You got your business going. You have the camp, and let's dive in a little bit more about credit. So that valuable lesson that you learned at that point, what was it about credit that intrigued you and wants to now have you on this mission to educate people in your industry where you come from?
Well, it was the insurance piece, but then I had this shoebox full of money. It's not a lot, and like me looking back, it's not a lot, but at the time, I'm 23 years old, to have, the amount of cash that I had, it was a good amount. And I didn't have anywhere to stay. I didn't have a car, right? So I needed to get these things, and that was kind of my aha moment of like, all right, so cash has leverage. You see what I mean? But it's not as much as credit is king. But credit is appropriate to say, right?
Absolutely.
So at that moment, I was like, man, I have to do something to build my credit. And to be honest, I was pretty ignorant in the credit realm then. I think, this might have been like 2018, and
Absolutely.
I got my first car. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but that was really the aha moment of like, God, I need credit. I'm looking to start a business. I need a car. Actually, what happened was my contract got cut short because the team I was playing for lost a sponsor.
Mm.
The team still owes me money to this day.
Wow.
Right? So, yeah, so that happened, and that's when I started kind of scrambling. All I had was that cash and a dream. And like I said, if I had had credit, it would have been able to either, help jumpstart my business a little quicker, or, I don't know. I remember I had my dad as a co-signer on my car. I had a whole bunch of sloppy situations of like co-signers and people and stuff in other people's names. I didn't have my own credits, and my credit score was just jumping up and down crazy. And I don't understand why. So that's where I was around that time. This is like 2015, 2016.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember when we first started conversing, and the one thing that I remember telling you, and I'm not sure if you remember this conversation, King, is that I told you your credit isn't as bad as you think. It was just probably the lack of information you had about your credit. And that's the thing I always try to share with people, that a lot of times our scores aren't bad. It's just we don't know what we have to do to fix it. Sometimes it's credit utilization, which, believe it or not, that's most of the time for most people. And so I just appreciate you being open, and you didn't let who you were in your former life dictate you being coachable. And that's the other thing that, I try to tell a lot of people. Look, I don't care if you had 3 Grammys, but when you come in to get this credit fixed, let me at least show you the right way so we can get you in a proper position. So it was definitely
absolutely.
Refreshing.
I wish I had FICO Fridays, man.
Absolutely. Well, we got them now, King, definitely. And so before we take a couple questions, I want to talk a little bit about your entrepreneurship ventures. I mean, I know a couple months ago I was going online and I'm seeing Art like just killing it out there in Jersey with the homes and the wholesaling, and it was really inspiring and refreshing, because it was like, one, you got a up front seat to see a lot of the things that was going on within the academy, the credit side, because of King J being your brother. But unlike so many people who do have access to individuals who are sometimes in their family or their friends, they take advantage of them, or they take them for granted. But you took a hold of that information and you went out there hitting the ground running. What was that transition like, and what has that done for you in your life right now? A call had came through. Anytime a call come through, just ignore that. That's why. That's what's up.
And that was that, man. It just kind of took off, and it showed me that what I just said. If you apply these same principles throughout different industries, you can see success.
Definitely. So before we go into the Q&A, what I want to do, because we having a little bit of technical difficulty, your volume went down. Can you let me see. We probably want to have you jump off and then jump right back on to see if we can get your volume back up, because they're not able to hear you on the other pages.
Oh, all right, hold up.
He's still on? All right. All right, family. We apologize on the pages. Had a couple. You know, anytime you're dealing with technology, we always gonna have something going on. Maybe because they don't like us talking about credit and educating the people, so they trying to throw a monkey in the wrench or whatever. You know. No, we still can't. I can hear you a little bit, but they can't hear you on the other page. But we'll go ahead and just rock out, because again, we're not going to let this little bit of adversity stop us. So everybody on the Jay Morrison Academy page, if you can go over to Mr. Will Roundtree, and we can go through this Q&A here for our next 20 minutes. So King Daniel, what questions do we have?
None right now. Everybody can hear fine on this page.
They can hear fine? Okay.
This one, yeah.
All right. All right. See if there's any questions on the other page. All right. So while they're still getting that figured out, we don't have any questions so far. So King Art, so tell us right now. So you got the real estate jumping off, about to close on your third deal, and I know from a corporate standpoint of your business, I know you're wearing a couple different hats. Tell me a little bit more about like just how you're choosing to level up as an entrepreneur, because I know you're just not focusing just on real estate.
Yeah, my biggest thing is trial and error, right? Like you said before, most billionaires have failed 5 to 7 ventures before they get that one. So I'm like, shoot, I need to get to at least 5 to 7 ventures to even be considered in that conversation, right? So I just mentioned 4 or 5 ventures that I might have, and that's not enough. I want to keep trying and figuring out what works. I launched a media company this year. It did well, got some traction, but I hated it. I didn't like spending my time creating content for other people, right? What else did I start this year? I started a few ventures, man, and they weren't it, right? But that trial and error, I learned so much. So then you don't feel much from even about myself. Man, I don't want to do that. That ain't me.
Correct.
What was that, King?
Say that again.
Nah, you broke up. I said, what was that?
No, we're good. I can hear you. So let me ask you, how important was mentorship for you during that process?
Say that one more time about mentorship.
Yeah, how important was mentorship for you? Just understanding that you didn't know everything.
Mentorship is everything is mentorship to me. So when I got an attorney for the first time ever, that attorney is not just my attorney, they're my mentor, whether they know it or not. So not only am I giving them services, but I'm picking their brain and asking as many questions as possible in order to make myself stronger in that area, just in how I conduct business, right? The same thing goes for when I deal with a CPA. I want to learn how to do my own bookkeeping and how to, how my own taxes and corporate mail strategies, etc. work, right? So everything that I'm always a sponge. I'm always coachable even when I'm not being coached. And I think that's one of the keys to my success. I know how to take a humble approach and sometimes take a back seat just to be a fly on the wall, just to be a sponge and soak up all of that, anything that can potentially help me reach my maximum potential as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for those who may be have aspirations of going into sports or wanting to become a professional athlete, what advice would you give them, not only just going into that career, but post-career? Like, what type of advice would you leave them with?
This is my favorite question. So, brand yourself down. If you are an athlete, you are a business. I repeat, that are a business. In the same way, on real estate, agents sell real estate. Athletes have agents for a reason. You are the real estate. You are the business, right? So the first thing I would do if you're an athlete is figure out what you want your brand image to be. How do you want people to see you in your craft and so on the court and off the court, on the field and off the field. What is your image, right? I would come up with a logo from the said I'll find out what yourself. What's your CSI? What's your US your 18, 20, what kids you want to be like, you want to play like you. Brand yourself as soon as possible and invest in that. The same way you would invest in stocks, the same way you would invest in real estate, the same way you would invest in a business. If you started a business, keep that same energy and invest in yourself. It's extremely important.
Absolutely.
If you want to have life as an athlete, like there's more athletes working 9 to 5 jobs right now
Mm.
than are athletes being an athlete. Whether they reach professional level, whether they never reach professional level, it doesn't really matter. There's people that play in the NBA. Yo, I have family members that play in the NBA that do the same thing I do now in terms of running basketball camps, etc. But haven't taken the entrepreneurship to the next level. They just kind of leverage the name that they had. I know I have NBA player friends or overseas friends who just got a real good job because certain big companies like former ex-athletes on their sales team, right? So they'll hire us in sales and people persons that we have a network, right? Like everyone else is gonna leverage your name and your brand. So when you're an athlete, the first thing you should do is create that brand and be the first to leverage it. Don't let anybody, the terminology to pick you out. Don't let anyone else leverage your name, your last name, your brand for yourself. That's my biggest advice because if you do that early on, afterward you won't have to work.
Correct. Yeah, no, definitely. And those are words that not only athletes could use and be inspired by, but I think anyone looking to do anything in any career path could definitely live by those wise words of advice. We got anything come through, King Daniel?
Yeah, what was the most difficult part of your process?
The most difficult part of the process is 100% perseverance. It was like, I'm a smart kid, man. I'm good looking. I had a college degree. You know how easy it was to be like, man, let me get a job. Nobody in my family ever graduated from college.
Mm.
Ever. Still now, right? So I was the first. So you know how sideways my family looking at me like, why are you trying to start your own business or play professional basketball? We did something none of us could do was get a job. The whole point of I'm sorry was get a degree. The whole point of the degree was to get a job. I had to go 3 years of people looking at me sideways like, what? You get that degree and get a nice 50, 60, 70K for your job?
Right.
Your way up somebody's totem pole? So that was the hard part. Every time I did fail, right? Every time I did do the numbers wrong or kids quit my program and I lose tracks that fast. Every time a real estate deal fell through, every time I posted an event and as many people didn't show up as I thought they would, I'm like, yo, man, I'm about to go ahead and snatch up a job. And I have. I've gone and gotten a job real fast, but every time I have, I know it's temporary.
Right.
You know, again, I could have gotten comfortable. That 1,000, 2,000 a week or 3,000 every pay period is nice, man. As opposed to stressing over how many kids gonna show up to a camp.
Right.
And who's gonna pay on time and is this person's check gonna clear for this tournament? That guaranteed direct deposit was real nice. The hardest part was fighting that.
In your opinion, in real estate, is cash king or credit king?
Knowledge is king. So you got, I mean, I know a lot of people with credit. I know a lot of people with cash.
Facts.
with the knowledge, you're gonna be able to put it together. Somebody with the knowledge, without the yeah, to be honest, I knew how to maybe have it without even knowledge.
Right. But not just having the knowledge, King. They got to apply it. It's the applied knowledge.
Applied knowledge.
Absolutely. Definitely. What else we got, King Daniel?
We have a question from Ivan Lee Jackson. What's next for you?
Oh, what's next? Oh, I don't. Even like this right here, going live. Like me personally, I don't dabble with the online space. Like I have like 12,000 followers on IG personally. My basketball page has like 15,000, and I don't think I'll leverage it enough. So I'm working on some things with somebody give me some hearts. I like when the hearts is going up early.
No doubt.
After you complete the business funding checklist, what's the next steps for funding?
After you complete the business funding checklist, next step is to reach out to us. Our team will then send you an intake form, and then within 72 business hours, somebody will get back to you. Now, if you don't follow the directions that's sent to you, that is going to delay the process. So again, one of the things in a common step that I see, a lot of us aren't opening our emails and reading the emails. We have to read them. Remember, we're adults, we're entrepreneurs, we're businessmen and women, so we have to take the onus of that step, and then once all of those steps are completed, then somebody will follow up within 72 business hours.
One of my college teammates is here, like, I want to sell something like, shout out like, sorry,
No doubt.
Is it best to pay off collections first or known active debt?
So with the collection, I always recommend to dispute it first, because if they're reporting the information accurately, then they have to remove it off of the report. Now, does that mean you don't owe them? No, that does not mean that. But if you just go and pay it, you run the risk of it still being on your credit or even lowering your credit score. So if you are going to pay it, I recommend you pay it in full and request a deletion letter. So anytime you pay a collection, always pay it in full and request a deletion letter.
What would you suggest to market for properties if you are working on a fixed income?
say that one more time.
What would you suggest to do to market properties if you're working on a fixed income?
I mean, Will, you want to take that one? My suggestion is, I don't know, it's 2019, marketing's free.
Definitely. So the first thing I would say is hopefully you are doing things to position yourself, because this is the one thing I tell everybody: getting capital is the easiest thing right now, and it's not going to be this easy forever. But yes, your credit does have to be in place. Now, let's say you have all those things working against you. Your credit isn't in position. You don't have a business. You don't have the money to start a business. All those things. And I get it. You know, we've all been there at some point. This is where you have to become resourceful and understand why branding and networking and tapping into your sphere of network is really important. If you can't pick up the phone and reach out to someone within your network and get $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, you may want to work on your network or yourself. And the only reason I say that is because if people believe in you, they will buy into your vision. And so that's one of the things that I was able to tap into early. I worked on myself. So money, I never let the money or my lack of stop me from being able to go out there and do, because what I did was I worked on myself. So one, people would believe in my ability. So for someone who may have a limited income or a fixed income, if people believe in you that you're an actual investor or a real estate developer, I don't like to use necessarily the term wholesaler, they will invest in your projects. But you got to make sure that you are putting yourself in a position to where they can buy into you. So what does your marketing strategy look like? What does your presence look like? What does your branding look like? If I were to go and ask you, what's your website? Do you have business cards? Do you have a logo? All those things matter, because if someone comes to me and say, hey, Will, can you invest in my business? And I say, what's your mission statement? What's your website? What state is your company registered in? Not saying you got to have those things in place, but at least have an ideal or something in position so people will buy into you. So I would say, what are you working on to tap into your network in order for them to be able to assist you, and or find a credit partner. I've worked with people who don't have the credit, don't have any money, so they've tapped into their relative, their uncle, their spouse, or whatever. So I would just say start thinking outside the box. And that's the beautiful part about entrepreneurship, is you can work without blinders on. There's no particular one way to go about doing something.
Do you have any suggestions?
Definitely. So we're going to take one more question, Art, and then we're going to wrap up, because I want people to know where they can find you, and then I want you to shout out your book. So we'll take one more question.
Do you have any suggestions for athletes in terms of ventures they should look into? In terms of ventures that they should look into.
Facts. Everything, for real. Right. Absolutely. So, King Art, we definitely appreciate you hopping on here with us for FICO Friday. It's been a pleasure. I've learned a lot, just about, your world and your background, and I always appreciate hearing your story. But before we go, where can people find you? Where can they follow you? And then also let them know about your book. Really dope book. Pretty much about, some of the things that you've overcome. Definitely. Make sure y'all go follow this king. Very inspiring. If you're not following him on Instagram, I mean, very inspiring page. I mean, it's times when I go on and I'm learning something. So I appreciate you, King Art. Today is the first day of Black History Month. So, say that again. Oh, man. Hey, just trying to serve the people, man. Definitely. No, we appreciate that. So, today being the first day of Black History Month, what I want to do is highlight black-owned business every single Friday here on FICO Friday. So for all my black-owned businesses, I need you to send me a direct message. Let me know what your business is. And every week, every Friday, I'm going to highlight a black-owned business here for Black History Month. Again, I appreciate everybody hopping on FICO Friday here today. Again, Black History Month. Make sure you go out, pick up the book Credit is King. Make sure you go and pick up my Queen's book on ggroundtree.com. King Art, where can they get your book at?
Yeah, my book is everywhere. Audio book, Nook, Kindle, Amazon. If you type in Art Force and Overcome, it's gonna come up everywhere. So yeah, go get it wherever you like to get it.
Definitely. So make sure y'all go pick up his book. He has the free ebook as well. Again, support that brother and that king right there. So I will see you guys next Friday. I will probably be on the road, but I will still have FICO Friday next week. So until then, I'll holler at you guys. I appreciate y'all, family. I love y'all. This will go up on YouTube. So for my anybody who hopped in at the last minute, you can go to YouTube. Make sure you go and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Mr. Will Roundtree across the board on all social media platforms. Again, I appreciate y'all, and I'll talk to y'all soon. All right, family. Peace.